Good morning, grade 7s. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of 3D shapes. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to classify shapes into polyhedra and non-polyhedra, describe them using faces, edges, and vertices, and understand how nets can help us model solids. We'll also solve some fun mystery shape challenges. Okay, so going back on prior knowledge, we're going to just focus on what you learned in grade 6, which was that 2D shapes, for example, are squares, triangles, circles, and rectangles. And this year we're going to be focusing on 3D shapes. So 3D shapes are made up of 2D shape faces. So before we get into the lesson, we're just going to focus on a few key vocabulary words that you will need to learn in order to be able to understand this and build on your prior knowledge. So a face is any flat or curved surface on a 3D object, and in polyhedra, like a rectangular prism, all the faces are flat polygons. For example, rectangles, squares, triangles. And in a non-polyhedron, like this ball, you can have curved faces. So you can run your hand along the shape, and every surface you touched without crossing an edge is a face. An edge is where two faces meet. It's like a line where two walls join, okay? And in 2D shapes, we talk about sides. And in 3D shapes, we talk about edges. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. There are 12 edges on this rectangular prism. In 3D shapes, we have a point in our shape that's called a vertex, which is also known as the vertices of a shape. So vertex is our singular and vertices is plural. So a vertex is a point on a corner. So it's a corner point where two or more edges meet. Think of it as a sharp corner of a shape. Okay. And let's count them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So as we discussed before, a polyhedron is a 3D shape with only flat polygon faces. For examples, cubes, rectangular prism, pyramids, okay? And a non-polyhedron has at least one curved surface. For example, a sphere. We also have a cylinder or a cone. Okay, so now here's just a list of the different polyhedra that we get and what they are made up of. So we have a square pyramid, so also known as a square-based pyramid, because the base of our pyramid is square. Okay, so it's made up of a square and how many triangles? 4 triangles, yes. Okay, and a cube is made out of square faces. A rectangular prism is made out of rectangular faces. And a triangular prism is made up of triangles and rectangles. Now, what do we notice about all these shapes that we are finding in our polyhedra? Okay, it's that they are all 2D shapes, okay? And there are no curved shapes in the list that I've given you. Okay, so now again, a non-polyhedra, 3D shapes with at least one curved surface. So examples of that would be spheres, cylinders, or cones. So when we open up the shape, which is called a net, we can see what this 3D shape is made out of, and that would be a rectangle. So a rectangle opened up, and then 2 circles. So this is our rectangle folded around, and this is our one circle, and this is our other circle. So in a better example, this is our rectangle, and this is our one circle, and this is our other circle. Okay. So before we get into the rest of the nets, I want to make sure that we all understand the properties of the nets that we will be focusing on. So is a cube a polyhedron? Yes or no? Yes, it is a polyhedron. And why is that? Because it has only flat faces, 2D flat faces. Okay. And how many faces does it have? 6 faces, well done. And edges? 12 edges. Vertices, as we counted before, 8 vertices. So a good example of that would be a dice, okay? And then a cylinder, is a cylinder a polyhedron? Yes or no? No. Why? because it has curved edges. Okay, and how many faces does it have? So when we roll this out into our net, just imagine this is a rectangle. So we roll this out now and we are left with a rectangle and 2 squares. So let's count the faces. So this is 1 face. This is our second face, and this is our third face. Okay, and how many edges does it have? Okay, it has 2 edges. And how many vertices does it have? We don't have any points on this, so we have 0 edges. Yeah. Now we're just going to be focusing on our square-based pyramid. So is a square-based pyramid a polyhedron? Yes, because it has flat faces. How many faces does it have? 5 faces. And edges? We have 8 edges. So as you can see on the screen, we can just count alongside the different edges on our square-based pyramid. And how many vertices does it have? 5 vertices, yes. And a real-life example of this would be a pyramid in Egypt. So a net is a 2D pattern that folds to make a 3D solid. The faces must be the right size and match the edges so that the shape fits perfectly. So let me show you how a cube net looks like. Okay, so if we can see at the top of the screen, that is a cube's net. It is opening and closing, and if you can see, it folds along the lines and it becomes a cube. So no measuring angles needed, just match edges. Okay, so these are different examples of the different nets of our 3D shapes. So the first one is a cube, the second is for a triangular prism, and the last is for a square-based pyramid. So match each net to its name and explain your thinking. So let's go off the first name. Okay, so we have a triangular prism. What first comes to mind when we hear that name? So we think triangle, okay? So our first week, then we can just cut off our first and third shapes. Now we're left with number 2 and number 4, okay? What makes a prism? The fact that it has rectangles, okay? So that leaves us with number 2. So our net makes up our triangular prism, okay? A square pyramid, so that would be number 4, yes, our square-based pyramid, because we can see it has a square in the middle and 4 triangles, okay? And just think about folding it up and thinking about what shape it would make when we folded our shape, when we made our net into a solid. Okay, a cylinder. So like we discussed before, a cylinder is made out of a rectangle and 2 circles. Okay, so that would be number 1. And a cuboid would be number 3. Okay, how many faces does a cuboid have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cuboid has 6 faces. Okay, so now we're just going to be playing a quick game, and we're going to be guessing what shape each of these nets are in a solid form. Okay, so let's start off by counting the faces of our shapes. Okay, and this shape has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces, but they are not all square faces. So what shape is this? A cuboid. Well done. Okay, I have 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. Which shape am I? Correct, a cube. Now notice how we're using the properties, which are the faces, the edges, and the vertices, to figure out which shape we are looking at. Okay, let's carry on. I have 5 faces, 1 square, and 4 triangles. Okay. And what shape is that? Yes, a square-based pyramid. Well done. I have twice as many edges as faces and 8 vertices. Which shape am I? Okay, so by now, I'd hope that you would have drawn out the information that is in the question so that we can kind of put together what we are looking for. And it is a cube. So here we can see real life examples of things we all know of. So cube, a birthday present, a rectangular prism, a cereal box, cylinder, a can, a tin of anything, a triangular prism, a Toblerone, chocolate, and a sphere, a soccer ball. So, in real life, knowing about faces, edges, and vertices helps us design, package, and to construct. Engineers, architects, and even game designers use this knowledge. So, this is information that we will need in our everyday lives, and it's important to understand where these objects fit into the spaces that we're around, especially with needing to plan space and to understand the concept of our surroundings. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. A polyhedra is a flat polygon faced only, okay? And a non-polyhedra has at least one curved face. The properties that we focused on in this lesson were faces, edges, and vertices, and we know that nets are 2D patterns that fold into 3D shapes. Now I want you to look around the room and identify one polyhedron and one non-polyhedron, and then we'll share them in a moment. Thank you so much for listening and participating in this lesson. I really hope it helped you.